Hey guys, it's Tom. So today I want to take just a real quick look at the navigation system that's built into Unity. And so in my project here, I have just a simple little level set up with some walls, and it's just a single floor piece. I have a player in here, this yellow one, that has just a simple movement script attached to it so that I can move around the level. It does have like a little sprint, but um, and then we have just an enemy in here that's still named cylinder, so I'm going to rename that. And so if we want this enemy to be able to navigate its way around our level, we can use the built-in navigation system that Unity includes, which works on a navigation mesh or a NavMesh, and then the enemies use what's called a NavMesh agent that will control how quickly it moves, how quickly it turns, how close it has to get to its target, all of those kinds of things. And so we're just going to take a real quick look at this navigation system, and then I'll probably do a second video that will look at how to build this into like a patrol system where the enemy will go from waypoint to waypoint and things like that. So first off, let's create a target for our enemy to go to. And so I'm just going to drop a sphere in here, um, and we'll put it somewhere over here. I'm going to disable the collider because we really don't need a collider to be on it. And then in order to use the NavMesh agent system for our enemy, we need to generate the navigation mesh. And to do that, first off, we have to open our AI window. And so we're going to open window or AI navigation, which will pop it over here on the right with your inspector. And now we need to tell it what is part of our navigation mesh and what is not. And so the big piece obviously is our floor, right? We want that to be part of our navigation mesh. But the problem is if we come in here into the bake option, which is where it actually creates the navigation mesh, and we bake it, it just covers the entire thing. It ignores the walls. It acts like the walls are not even there. And that's not good. We want him to walk around the walls. So let's clear out our mesh. And I have all of my walls broken off into a side piece here. And so what I'm going to do is just select all of those walls. And then you can do this in the inspector. You can drop down the little static menu and choose navigation static, or you can do it under the object page in the navigation tab where you select navigation static, and that makes all of those able to be part of the NavMesh. Now, apparently I already did this for the floor piece, forgot to mention that little fact, and so it was already set to navigation static. If it wasn't set to navigation static, then it would not generate any pieces on the floor. But when that floor piece is navigation static, all of our walls are now navigation static. And then we bake it. Now we see these little parts of our navigation mesh that are around the walls indicating, hey, we can't just walk through walls. It can only walk on the parts that are overlaid in that blue. That's the actual navigation mesh. Now, doing it this way only works with walls that are relatively skinny because in our bake settings here, we say, hey, the agent radius is 0.5 meters, which means these are each one of these walls is 1 meter in scale on our X. If I set this to a higher value, I had thicker walls like 3. Now I come in here, clear out my mesh and bake it. Now I can see that I actually have a nav mesh on top of this wall also. Now there's not any way for him to get up there, but just something to keep in mind that if you're using thick walls or thick pieces, it could generate a navigation mesh on top of your wall. It's also important to remember anytime you make changes to your level, you want to come in here and clear out the mesh and bake it again. So it won't tell you that you have to hit clear, but it will cache all of these old meshes and they can end up taking up a whole bunch of space even though they're not being used, and then you have to go in and manually delete them. So I would get in the habit of clearing out your mesh and then baking it each time. If you have a very large level, like kilometers in size, then the bake process can take a while. And so you need to plan your baking accordingly. But for small levels, it goes very quick. So, all right, now let's get our enemy set up to actually go to this spot over here. And so we're going to jump back over to the inspector, add our NavMesh agent to our enemy. And just a couple of the settings here. The base offset, this is how far it is from the anchor of our game object to the ground. And so this is a standard 2 meter, if I can select it, 2 meter tall cylinder with a scale of 1. It's going to go 1 in each direction on the y-axis. And so that's base offset is 1. If my anchor was at the bottom, then I would want that base offset to be 0. Otherwise, it would stick through the floor by 1 meter. The speed, this is just simply how quickly it moves once it gets to top speed. Angular speed, how quickly it turns. 120 degrees is really low. Like if you think about how quickly you can turn, how many degrees per second. I mean, you can make a 360-degree turn easily in less than half a second. I normally increase this up to about 720 or higher, depending. Acceleration, how quickly it goes how quickly it changes speeds, both from stopped up to its top speed and from top speed down. We'll leave it at 8 for right now. Stopping distance, this is how close do I need to get to my target before I stop and assume that I've gotten there. And then auto braking is used for slowing down when going around corners and things like that. So we'll leave that turned on for right now. Now let's drop a script in here. So we're going to create a new little script. I'll just call it base AI. And this script is, for now, just going to tell our enemy to go to this point. And so we're going to, first off, we need to add in our namespace for the AI. So just add in using unityengine.ai. This gives us access to the NavMesh agent and other NavMesh related objects. And then we're going to create a variable that will hold what our target is. And so we'll go ahead and expose this in the editor so we can just drag and drop it. And so this will be a private. All we really care about is the transform. So we'll just grab the transform and call it target. And then we could, actually for now, let's just stick this in the start. We're going to say get component for a NavMesh agent. And then we're going to call set destination. And that is our target dot position. And so save that, jump back over to Unity, and then we're going to drop this script onto our enemy. Can never get it to scroll down when I want it to. And we need to set that target, so we'll go ahead and drop sphere in here. And so now when I run this, I'll see my enemy just start moving over towards that target. And our stopping distance is set at 0, so he will get exactly at that point. Now, while it's running, I can switch back over to scene view. I can grab that sphere and move it, and it doesn't update where he wants to go because we're only setting this in the start function. And so if we were to jump back over into the script and move this into our update function, now it's setting that destination to every single frame, which is not the most efficient way to handle it, but if I come back over here and I give him a moving target, he will navigate around the walls in order to get to that target. Now you may be thinking, hey, could we maybe set his target to be the player? Absolutely. And so we can come in here and just drag our player in as the target. And since he's setting the destination every single frame, he will chase the player around wherever the player goes. Now, he moves very, very slowly compared to our player. So let's come in here and increase the speed. And so now he's faster than our player unless our player is sprinting. And so that's really all there is to it as far as the basics of using the navigation system goes. Like I said, I will probably do a follow-up video to this that looks at building out a simple patrol system where they move from waypoint to waypoint. And then if there's interest, I may build out another video, introducing senses and can it see the player, detecting line of sight to the player, field of view, those kinds of things. So let me know if that's something that y'all are interested in. Let me know in the comments what you may want to see as far as the AI goes, the NavMesh system. So thanks for watching.